Policy. China before the policy. Population growth was a common worry for countries around the world in the 1970s. China already had a large population and had attempted to promote the use of birth control. The population was increasing at an unbelievable rate and was approaching 1 billion people. They didn't want a repeat of the famine in 1962. This disastrous famine killed around 30 million people. Without the one-child policy, China would have experienced food shortage and the possibility of another famine. Why the policy was created. Introduced in 1979, China started the one-child policy. This policy restricted Chinese couples to only have one child in an attempt to slow down the population. If Chinese couples did not follow the policy, they would then experience large fines, sterilization, and even abortion. While this is a very harsh and unfair policy, the Chinese government was taking temporary measures to support economic growth while trying to prevent any food and natural resource shortages. Families who followed the policy were rewarded with benefits like longer maternity leaves. These parents were also given a certificate of honor for single-child parents. So the first step to get rid of the policy began in March 2013 when China merged the National Population and Family Planning Commission with the Ministry of Health to create a new National Health and Family Planning Commission. It's argued that the changes to the policy came almost 10 years too late. This could be primarily attributed to the political leaders in the area who did not want their legitimacy questioned and for people to think they were wrong in having continued the policy long ago when they knew it was starting to go bad. This is what made the first step wait until the merging of the new National Health and Family Planning Commission because there was new leaders and they didn't get hurt in stating the facts that the one-child policy was a mistake and should have been taken care of years ago, but it was taken care of now. The change in leadership and family planning established new leaders and put an end to the fear that the Chinese public had been exposed to, the fear that forces the public to automatically associate social and economic problems with high population growth. The second step implemented was in November of 2013. China announced a partial policy relaxation that allowed couples to have two children if one parent was an only child. They had found that only 15.4% of the couples who were eligible to have two kids didn't. This is again due to the fear that the generation of current parents have grown up knowing under the one-child policy. These younger parents have grown up in the one-child policy and have been socialized into thinking that having multiple kids is a bad thing and will ruin the economy and cause social problems. So the second step to ending the one-child policy pointed out social issues that the relaxation of the only child policy won't fix. The third step was announced by the National Health and Family Planning Commission in October of 2015. They stated that starting January 1st, 2016, the one-child policy will allow all couples to have two children. This means that couples don't need approval from the government. This ended the one-child policy for the entire public. However, it's not a full lift of restrictions on population control. So how this has affected China. The one-child policy in China had many adverse effects on its population. Specifically, children have been inadvertently affected by this policy. One consequence of the policy is the gender imbalance in society. Because male children were the preferred sex at the time, sex-selective abortions were occasionally carried out as a way to choose the gender of a child. Between 1979 and 1984, the average ratio of boys to girls in China was 106 boys to 100 girls. For citizens caught breaking the law, the consequences included fines and loss of benefits and possessions. So now to compare China and Japan's population struggles. Both countries, China and Japan, are currently struggling with population growth issues. China was trying to stop their population from increasing by introducing the one-child policy, but now China and Japan are both trying to increase their populations. China's population has a surplus of males and a shortage of females. China's current goal is to balance out their population. Japan's population is shrinking with an increasing age population due to high life expectancy. More than a fifth of the Japanese population is 65 or older. China and Japan continue to have these population struggles. China has changed their policies to allow families to have two children. Japan will need to increase their birth rate to expand their population and remain a global political power. Sources